I hired a cleaning lady for my house. An hour later, she called me, whispering, "Is anyone else supposed to be in the house?" Confused, I replied, "No." "Why?" "There's a woman upstairs." Trembling, I shouted, "Get out of there now." My hand shook as I ended the call. I was 40 minutes away, stuck in downtown traffic, and someone was in my house. Someone who shouldn't be there. I called the police, gave them my address, told them about the intruder. Then I waited, drumming my fingers on the steering wheel, watching the brake lights ahead stretch into infinity. My heart was hammering so hard, I could feel it in my throat. Every second stretched into a lifetime. I imagined 100 possibilities. An opportunistic thief, a squatter, a deranged stranger, a stalker. Every image my mind conjured was worse than the last. The city noise outside my car felt muffled, unreal, as if the world had narrowed down to the space between me and the phone. 20 minutes later, my phone rang again. The officer's voice was calm, professional, almost soothing in its steadiness. "Sir, we've secured the premises. The woman claims she's your daughter-in-law, says she has a key." My jaw clenched so tight I felt the ache in my temples. "I never gave her a key." "She says your son did. We can't remove her without your presence. Can you come home?" The words hit me like a physical blow. My son. Of course. Tom. Always impulsive, always too easily swayed. I could already see how this had happened. Still, I didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way." I made it there in 15 minutes, breaking every speed limit on the map. My hands gripped the wheel so hard that my knuckles turned white. Every red light felt like an insult. When I finally turned into my street, my stomach twisted at the sight of 2 patrol cars in the driveway, their lights off, but their presence screaming that something was very wrong. My house, my safe, quiet place, looked different now, smaller somehow, as if it was recoiling from what had just happened inside. I rushed to the door. The officer met me with a professional nod, his expression unreadable. Inside, I found Sarah sitting on my couch like she owned the place, legs crossed, phone in hand, scrolling idly as if nothing in the world could touch her. Pretty, polished, poison, the kind of beauty that knew exactly how dangerous it was. "This is harassment," she said without looking up. Her tone was sharp, rehearsed. She'd practiced it for moments like this. The officer turned to me. "Sir?" "She doesn't live here. She has no right to be here. I want her removed." Sarah finally looked at me, her smile as sharp as a blade. "Tom gave me the key. Your son. We're family." "We're not family," I said quietly, though my voice trembled with barely contained anger. "We're strangers who share DNA with the same person." The officer shifted uncomfortably. He didn't want to be here. "Sir, if your son gave her the key—" "My son doesn't own this house. I do. Get her out." The room filled with silence thick enough to choke on. Sarah tilted her head, pretending to be hurt, her eyes glistening with false innocence. "You're overreacting," she said softly. "Tom wanted me to check on the place. He said you'd be gone all day." "Don't lie to me," I snapped. "Tom wouldn't send you here, not after what happened." The officer raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He didn't need the details, and I didn't offer them. The past between Tom and Sarah was a festering wound we'd all tried to ignore. A wound that now seemed to be bleeding through the walls of my home. It took another hour of paperwork and patient threats before Sarah finally stood up. Her every movement was deliberate, theatrical. She reached into her purse and pulled out a key, a copy, poorly made, the edges rough, and tossed it onto the coffee table with a disgusted sigh. The sound of metal against wood echoed like a slap. Then she walked past me, her perfume trailing behind her, sweet and cloying, like decay masked by sugar. The officers followed her out, murmuring polite reassurances that everything was handled. But nothing felt handled. The house felt wrong, invaded, touched by something that didn't belong. I picked up the key. It was still warm from her hand. I turned it over, staring at the jagged edges, at the cheap brass that gleamed under the living room light. My son had made it without asking. My own son had given a stranger access to my home. I sank into the couch, the fabric still holding the ghost of her warmth. The silence pressed in from all sides, heavy, accusing. The air smelled faintly of her perfume and lemon cleaner. The scent made my skin crawl. I should have seen it coming. Should have recognized the signs, the manipulation, the control, the subtle way she'd wrapped her words around my son until he couldn't tell right from wrong. But I'd been blind, stupid, too trusting. That ended today. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, until the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the wall clock became unbearable. The house felt foreign now. Every shadow seemed to move when I wasn't looking. I stood, walked to the window, and peered out into the night. The police cars were gone. The street was quiet, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was still out there somewhere, watching, waiting. I locked every door, every window, checked the basement, the attic, even the closets. Paranoia, maybe. But after what had just happened, paranoia felt like self-preservation. The key in my pocket felt heavy, almost radioactive. It was a symbol of betrayal more than anything else. When I finally sat back down, I thought about Tom, my son, the boy who used to run down these halls laughing, who'd sit at the kitchen counter doing homework while I made dinner. The boy who'd grown into a man I barely recognized. He'd fallen for her, Sarah, and she'd consumed him. Every warning I'd given him had been met with the same response. You don't know her like I do. Maybe I didn't, but I knew enough. Sarah had charm. She had the kind of beauty that drew people in, that made them believe she was harmless. But underneath, there was something cold, something calculating. I'd seen glimpses of it, the way she'd twist words in conversations, the way she'd isolate Tom from his friends, from me, the way she'd smile when people argued, as if she enjoyed the chaos she created. It had started small. A snide comment here, a strange look there. Then came the arguments, Tom defending her against imagined slights, accusing me of never giving her a chance. She played the victim perfectly, painting me as controlling, old-fashioned, cruel, and Tom, my intelligent, kind-hearted son, believed her. Love, or something that pretended to be love, made him blind. After their breakup, if it could even be called that, Tom had cut off contact for months. I told myself he needed space, that he'd come back when he realized what she really was. But now, holding the key she'd used to walk freely into my home, I realized just how deep her hook still ran. I stood and walked through the house, touching the walls, the furniture, as if to remind myself that it was still mine. Every room felt different now, touched by her presence. Upstairs, the guest bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open. The bedspread was rumpled, the closet door slightly open. She'd been up here. God knows what she'd done, what she'd touched. A half-empty bottle of water sat on the nightstand. I picked it up and stared at it. The label was peeled halfway off, her fingerprint smudged against the plastic. A small, stupid detail, but it made my skin crawl. I tossed it in the trash and shut the door behind me. Then I went to the kitchen and poured myself a drink. Something stronger than I should have. The burn in my throat steadied me, at least for a moment. I needed to think, to plan, because this wasn't over, not by a long shot. I took out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Tom's name. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I couldn't press it. Not yet. Not while I was still shaking with anger. I needed to calm down first. I needed to be precise, rational. Sarah thrived on chaos. She wanted me emotional, reactive. I wouldn't give her that satisfaction. Instead, I opened a notebook from the drawer beside me and started writing. Dates, events, patterns. Every strange thing that had happened since Tom met her. The sudden expenses on his account. The missed family gatherings. The cryptic text messages. The night he'd shown up at my door drunk, begging to borrow money, just for a few weeks. I'd given it to him, of course. He'd promised to pay it back. He never did. Later, I found out Sarah had needed it for a business idea that vanished overnight. It all painted a picture, one I'd ignored for too long. But now, with that cheap key on my coffee table, the picture was finally clear. She wasn't just manipulative, she was dangerous. She wanted control of Tom, of his money, of my house, maybe even of me. I stayed up all night planning. By dawn, the fear had turned to cold resolve. I changed the locks first, every single one. Then I called my lawyer. If she tried this again, if she so much as stepped foot on my property, I wanted the law behind me. I wasn't going to be caught unprepared again. When I finally called Tom that afternoon, his voice was groggy, confused. "Dad, what's going on? Sarah said you called the cops on her." "She broke into my house," I said, "with a key you gave her." There was silence on the line, then a sigh. "She told me you'd overreact." "Overreact?" My voice rose despite my best effort to stay calm. "She trespassed, Tom. You don't give someone a key to a house you don't own." "Dad, she just wanted to..." "She just wanted to what? To prove she could? To show me I can't keep her out?" I paused, letting the words sink in. "You don't see it, but she's using you. And if you keep letting her, she's going to destroy you." He didn't answer. Not right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was small. "You don't know her like I do." I closed my eyes. "You're right," I said softly, "but I know what she's capable of." When the call ended, I felt an ache I couldn't describe. Love mixed with disappointment, fear and anger all tangled together. But beneath it all was something sharper, a determination that this was the last time she would ever violate my home or my family. While you're here, hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? The wedding was supposed to be a celebration. White tablecloths, champagne towers, 200 guests pretending to be happy. I wore my best suit, smiled for the photos, shook hands with people I'd never see again. Tom looked like a stranger in his tuxedo. When had he become this person? This slick, polished thing with empty eyes and a practiced smile. Sarah was radiant, of course. White dress, perfect makeup, that smile that never quite reached her eyes. She worked the room like a politician, touching arms, laughing at jokes, collecting admirers. I stood near the bar, nursing a whiskey, watching my son marry a woman I didn't trust. The speeches were predictable. Tom's best man told stories about college, drinking, girls. Sarah's maid of honor cried on cue. When it was my turn, I kept it short. To Tom and Sarah, may they get everything they deserve. No one caught the double meaning. They never do. After dinner, Sarah found me near the gift table. Her smile had changed, sharpened. The champagne had loosened something in her. "We need to talk," she said. "About what?" "Your apartment, the one downtown." I sipped my whiskey. "What about it?" "Tom and I need it. We're starting fresh, need a better address, something prestigious." "Then buy one." Her smile hardened. "Don't be difficult. You have the house. You don't need 2 properties." "I don't need anything. I earned everything." "Tom says you owe him. For college, for..." "I paid for his college. Every cent. He owes me nothing, and I owe him less." Her face flushed, anger breaking through the perfect facade. "You selfish bastard. After everything we've done..." "You've done nothing. You married my son. That doesn't entitle you to my property." She moved closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. "Give me the keys." "No." Her hand moved fast, faster than I expected. The slap echoed across the reception hall, turning heads, stopping conversations. My cheek burned, my ears rang, but I didn't move. The room went silent. "You hit me," I said quietly. "You deserved it." Tom appeared beside her, his face pale. "Dad, just give her the keys." I looked at my son, this stranger, and saw nothing I recognized. No loyalty, no respect, no love, just greed, naked and ugly. "No," I said. Tom grabbed my arm. "Dad." I pulled free, turned, and walked out. Behind me, I heard Sarah's voice loud and clear. "See? He's always been like this. Selfish, controlling. He doesn't care about anyone but himself." The guests murmured, agreeing, judging. I didn't look back. Outside, the night air was cold and clean. I stood in the parking lot, watching my breath fog in the darkness, and made a decision. They wanted war. They'd get war. My phone rang at midnight. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this the father?" A man's voice, rough, unfamiliar. "Who's asking?" "A friend. I heard about your situation, the wedding incident." I sat up in bed, suddenly alert. "How did you hear about that?" "Word travels, especially when someone gets slapped in front of 200 people. He chuckled, dark and low. "I help people like you. People who've been wronged. People who want things made right." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't, but if you change your mind, I'll be around. You'll know me when you see me." I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Who the hell was that? How did he get my number? I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, drinking coffee, thinking, planning. Tom called the next morning. No apology, no explanation. "Dad, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "Sarah was upset. She didn't mean to hit you." "Yes, she did." "Okay, fine. But you were being unreasonable. The apartment is just sitting there. It's mine. You're being petty." "I'm being sane. You married a woman who thinks assault is acceptable when she doesn't get her way. That's not my problem. She's my wife now. What affects her affects me. Then you both have a problem." Tom's voice hardened. "Dad, I'm asking nicely. Give us the apartment." And I'm answering clearly. "No." "Then we're done. Don't call me, don't visit, don't pretend you're part of this family." I wasn't pretending. You were. I hung up. The silence in my house was heavy, oppressive. I'd raised that boy, changed his diapers, taught him to ride a bike, paid for his education. And this was the thanks I got. My daughter called an hour later. Lisa, my baby girl, now 23 and supposedly on my side. "Dad, I heard what happened." News travels fast. Tom's really upset. Tom's really entitled. "Dad," her voice was soft, pleading, "can't you just give them the apartment, make peace?" "You're taking their side." "I'm not taking sides. I'm trying to keep this family together." "There is no family. Not anymore." She was quiet for a moment. "What if I talk to Sarah, smooth things over?" "Don't bother. She doesn't want peace. She wants property." "Dad, please." "I have to go, Lisa." I hung up on her too. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was being petty. But every instinct I had screamed that giving in would only make things worse. That night, I drove past my downtown apartment. It was a good property, prime location, worth $500,000 easy. I'd bought it as an investment, rented it out for years, finally took it back when the lease ended. Tom knew about it because I'd told him. Stupid. I'd been trying to show him what smart investing looked like, thinking he'd learn something. Instead, he'd seen an opportunity. A car pulled up beside me at the red light. Black sedan, tinted windows. When the light changed, it followed me. Not obviously, but close enough to notice. I took 4 random turns. The sedan stayed with me. My heart rate kicked up. I wasn't paranoid. Someone was following me. I pulled into a 24-hour diner, parked under the lights, and went inside. The sedan drove past, slowed, then disappeared. I ordered coffee I didn't want and sat by the window, watching, waiting. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "You notice things. Good, we should talk." I stared at the message. "The man from last night. Had to be." I typed back, "Who are you?" A solution to your problem. Meet me tomorrow, corner of 5th and Main, noon. I deleted the text and paid for my coffee. Whatever this was, I needed to be careful. 5th and Main was a busy intersection, restaurants and shops, plenty of witnesses. Smart choice for a first meeting, the kind of place where no one looked too long at anyone else. Noise and movement everywhere. Horns blaring, a bus wheezing to a stop, conversations overlapping like static. The world kept spinning, unaware that something quiet and dangerous was about to begin. I arrived 10 minutes early, positioned myself with my back to a wall, and watched the crowd. I always preferred walls, no surprises behind me, only what I could see. The air smelled of coffee, exhaust, and rain-soaked concrete. I pretended to check my phone, scanning faces without moving my head. Every man in a dark jacket became a possibility. Every woman glancing twice at me made my pulse jump. I didn't know who I was waiting for, not really. Only that someone had reached out, someone who claimed to understand what I wanted before I even said it out loud. At noon exactly, a man approached, late 50s, weathered face, military bearing. He moved with precision, each step measured, no wasted motion. He wore a leather jacket and jeans. Nothing flashy, but something about him screamed control. The way he held his shoulders, the way his eyes flicked over the area before focusing on me. "You're punctual," he said, stopping a few feet away. His voice was gravel, low and even. "You're cryptic," I said. "Who are you?" "Name's Jack," he replied. "I fix problems." I studied him. "What kind of problems?" "The kind you have. Family betrayal, public humiliation, stolen property." He smiled without warmth, the corners of his mouth twitching up just enough to suggest he'd seen worse than anything I could imagine. "I've seen your type before. Good man, worked hard, raised ungrateful kids who think they deserve everything you built." The words hit too close to home. My chest tightened. "How do you know about my situation?" "I know people," he said casually. "People talk. Your son's wedding was quite the spectacle. Expensive, wasn't it? I heard the bride's dress alone cost more than most folks' cars." I clenched my jaw. The memory of that day burned in my mind, the forced smiles, the speeches that barely mentioned me, the way Sarah had paraded herself like she owned the world. "What do you want?" I asked. "To help you," he said, "for a price." "I don't need help." "Yes, you do." He took a slow step closer. "You're angry, hurt, planning something stupid that'll land you in jail or worse." His eyes didn't waver. "I offer something better, clean, legal, effective. I help you get revenge without getting your hands dirty." "I'm not interested in revenge," I lied. "Yes, you are," he said calmly. "You're just too scared to admit it." He was right, and I hated that he was right. The truth settled in my stomach like a stone. I wanted them to pay, not just for the key, not just for the lies, but for making me feel powerless in my own home. "What do you charge?" I asked. 20,000, he said. "Half up front, half when it's done." "That's a lot of money." "Revenge is expensive. Justice is priceless." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small business card, plain white, nothing but a phone number. "Think about it. You have 72 hours. After that, the offer expires." He turned and walked away before I could respond. I watched him disappear into the moving crowd, swallowed by the rhythm of the city like smoke dissipating into air. For a moment, I wondered if he'd ever been there at all, or if I'd imagined him, some phantom born of anger and exhaustion. But the card was real, cool between my fingers, the numbers crisp and black. I should have thrown it away right then, should have gone to the police, told them about the strange man offering help. But I didn't. Instead, I slipped it into my wallet, like a secret I wasn't ready to confront. The rest of the day passed in a haze. I went through the motions, meetings, emails, a lunch I couldn't taste. My thoughts kept drifting back to Jack, to the certainty in his voice, The way he'd looked at me, as if he already knew what I would do. By the time I got home, the sun was sinking behind the rooftops, and the house was steeped in shadow. I stood in the living room for a long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the faint ticking of the clock, wondering how much of myself I'd already lost to anger. That evening, Lisa came to visit. I hadn't seen her in weeks. She looked tired, her dark hair tied back messily, her eyes rimmed with red. "Dad," she said softly, standing in the doorway like she wasn't sure she was welcome. "Can we talk?" "Always," I said, gesturing for her to sit. She took a seat on the couch, folding her hands in her lap. For a while, she just sat there, staring at the floor, picking at her nails. Finally, she spoke. "I talked to Tom," she said quietly. "He's really angry. Says you're trying to ruin his marriage." I sighed. "I'm not trying to ruin anything. I'm protecting what's mine." "It's just an apartment," she said, her voice rising with frustration. "Why does it matter so much?" "No, it's not just an apartment." I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "It's respect. It's boundaries. It's the principle that you don't get to demand someone else's property and assault them when they refuse." Lisa looked up at me, tears glimmering in her eyes. "Dad, please. Just give it to them. For me." "Why do you care so much?" I asked, suspicion threading through my voice. "Because," she hesitated, biting her lip. "Because Sarah promised me something. If you give them the apartment, she'll help me with my career. She knows people in marketing, has connections." My stomach dropped. "She bribed you," I said flatly. "It's not to bribe," Lisa said quickly. "It's networking. It's helping family." "She turned you against me for a job reference," I said, each word tasting like iron. "Dad, no," she started, but I raised my hand. "Get out," I said quietly. "Dad," I said, "get out. I don't want to see you right now." Her face crumpled. "You don't mean that." "I do." The words came out cold, final. She stood slowly, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. "You're pushing everyone away," she whispered, "even the ones who still love you." "Then maybe love isn't what I thought it was," I said. She left crying. The sound of the door closing behind her echoed through the empty house, leaving behind a silence so deep it felt alive. I sat alone in the darkness, staring at the reflection of my own hollow face in the window. Outside, streetlights flickered on one by one. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed. Inside, all I could hear was the faint ringing in my ears, the sound of something inside me breaking for good. They'd all chosen sides. Tom, Sarah, even Lisa. Every piece of my family had been chipped away, sold for promises and manipulation. And what was left? Just me. Alone. Good. Alone was easier. Alone meant no more betrayal. Alone meant I could finally think clearly. I poured myself a drink and sat back down, the glass heavy in my hand. I thought about Sarah's smirk, Tom's excuses, Lisa's tears. They'd taken everything I valued and turned it against me. I wasn't the villain. I was the one they'd built their lies around. They'd made me into a monster so they could justify their greed. I reached into my wallet and pulled out the card. 10 digits, printed cleanly on white paper. No name, no address. Just a number that promised something final, something irreversible. My thumb hovered over the phone. I hesitated, my heart beat loud in my ears. Calling that number would mean crossing a line. But maybe that line had already been crossed when they used my kindness against me. When my son handed my house key to a stranger, when my daughter sold her loyalty for a career favor. Maybe the line had never existed at all. I pressed the first number. The phone rang once, twice. On the third ring, a voice answered. Calm. Collected. "Jack." "It's me," I said. "We met today." "I figured you'd call," he said. I could hear faint background noise. Traffic, maybe. Or a television in another room. "You've decided then?" "Yes." "Good," he said simply. "Do you want to talk details?" "Not over the phone," I said automatically. Smart man, he said. There's a diner on 7th. Old place, red booths, smells like burnt coffee, midnight tonight. Come alone. I sat there, staring at the dark screen. Midnight. It gave me 6 hours to decide if I was really willing to go through with it. I looked around the house one last time. The photographs on the walls, the memories trapped in frames, a family that didn't exist anymore, a life that had already ended. By the time midnight came, I was there. The diner was half empty, the kind of place that hadn't changed in 40 years. A flickering neon sign buzzed weakly outside. Jack was already in a corner booth, sipping coffee, like a man who hadn't slept in weeks but didn't need to. He didn't smile when I sat down. You're here, he said. That means you're serious. I just want to know what you're offering, I said. He leaned back, studying me. I offer closure, he said. Public exposure, legal pressure, social collapse. I ruin them. How? I asked. Information, he said. Everyone has secrets. Your daughter-in-law? I guarantee she has plenty. All it takes is the right push. Maybe she's lying about her finances. Maybe she's cheating on your son. Maybe she's not as clean as she pretends to be. My job is to find the weak point and apply pressure until it breaks. And Tom? I asked quietly. He'll learn what kind of woman he married, Jack said. And when he does, he'll come crawling back to you. You'll be the only one left standing. His confidence was unnerving. It was like he'd done this 1,000 times before. I sat back, the weight of what he was offering settling in my chest. It wasn't violence, but it was destruction all the same. How long? I asked. 2 weeks, he said. Maybe less. And all I have to do is pay. Half now, he said, sliding a small envelope across the table. Instructions inside. The rest when you see results. I stared at the envelope. My reflection rippled faintly in the silver napkin holder beside it. Tired eyes, a face hardened by disappointment. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, I reached into my jacket, pulled out my wallet, and placed $10,000 in cash on the table. Jack's expression didn't change. He slid the money away smoothly, like it was nothing. You'll hear from me soon, he said, standing up. Don't call this number again unless it's an emergency. Then he was gone, leaving me alone in the diner with the envelope in front of me. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a single piece of paper, printed in block letters. Step 1, gather everything you know about Sarah, every detail. I'll handle the rest. I folded the paper and slipped it into my pocket. When I stepped outside, the air was cold, sharp, and clean. The streets were empty. For the first time in months, I felt something close to clarity. They'd chosen their side. Now, I was choosing mine. Jack met me at a warehouse on the industrial side of town. The building sat behind a chain-link fence, flanked by stacks of shipping pallets and the skeletal frames of rusting machinery, a place where echoes lasted long enough to carry secrets a dozen yards. It was empty, save for the occasional scuttle of a rat and the distant thump of a loading dock somewhere down the line. Perfect for conversations no one should hear. He waited in the shadow of a concrete pillar, cigarette stub between his fingers, the ember a small, defiant dot in the gloom. When he saw me, he didn't rush. He moved like someone who measured danger as readily as breath. Careful, patient, used to the rhythm of other people's fear. You called faster than I expected, he said, voice low, like gravel sliding. I want details, I told him. What exactly do you do? He took a long drag from the cigarette, exhaled slowly. The smoke curled like a question mark. I expose people. Find their secrets, their weaknesses, their lies. Then I release that information strategically, publicly, devastatingly. No violence, no physical crime, just truth. That's it? I asked, as if there might be a missing piece, something more direct, something darker. Truth is the sharpest weapon, Jack said, Most people's lives are threaded with small crimes, omissions, misdirections, moral compromises. Pull enough threads and the whole thing unravels. Your son and his wife, I guarantee they have secrets. He had a way of saying guarantee that made it sound like a bank promise. I thought about the way Tom's smile had changed over the last year. How polite it was now. How distant. I thought about Sarah's way of taking up space, the way she'd look at me as though she were measuring me for a part she was owed. I thought of Lisa's sudden interest in marketing internships and the way she'd avoided my gaze at dinner. The pieces clicked together with the cold precision of a snapped lock. "What kind of secrets?" I asked. "That's what I find out," he said. "Give me 2 weeks and $20,000. I'll deliver ammunition." I bit the inside of my cheek, the old habit of physical pain to distract the heady rush of decision. 2 weeks. 20,000. It sounded both ruinous and reasonable at once, a price for something I didn't know I could afford to live without. I thought of the apartment, the audacity of someone demanding what wasn't theirs. I thought of the inheritance my father had left, the life I had built, and how quickly others assumed it was theirs for the taking. I wanted them to feel small, to be exposed in the light they'd tried so hard to avoid. "I want them destroyed," I said finally. The word felt heavy, like a cast-iron pan settling in my hands. Jack smiled. It wasn't an easy smile. It was practiced and efficient. "Music to my ears," he said. "We have a deal." "We have a deal." We shook hands, no promises, no vows. He handed me a receipt, a slip of paper with an account number scrawled on it. The transfer was cold. I felt a small, private shame handing over the first half of the sum that night. He took it without comment, pocketed the cash, and vanished into the dark as quietly as he had appeared. I watched him go, the streetlight catching the back of his jacket for a second before the shadow swallowed him whole. For 2 weeks, the city behaved like a wall between me and the work I had set into motion. Days blurred together in a pattern of waking, going to work, coming home, avoiding the calls from my children. Tom's messages on voicemail shifted from worried to angry to pleading. Lisa's texts escalated from awkward to desperate to accusatory. I let them pile up unread, let them fester. The waiting felt like standing on a precipice with wind grabbing at your collar, dizzying, terrifying, intoxicating. Then the call came. "I found something," Jack said. "You need to see this in person." We met at a coffee shop on a busy avenue, the kind of public place where people said things without thinking anyone would notice. Jack sat at a small table, folder closed in front of him, like a secret that had shut its eyes. He slid the folder across the table toward me, with the sort of casualness that suggested he was used to breaking people with paper. "Your son's been busy," he said. The folder felt heavier than it should have when I opened it. Inside were bank statements, printed emails, screenshots, photographs. At first, it was a fog of numbers and dates. Then, the shapes resolved into something that made my stomach drop. Transfers labeled household, loan, emergency fund, but clearly moved into accounts bearing Tom's name. Small, then larger withdrawals, consistent patterns. The handwriting of betrayal was painfully legible. Tom had been stealing from me. Not the apartment. That had been only the beginning. He'd been accessing my accounts, using old passwords I'd shared years ago for emergencies. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here and there to cover a bill or two. Then larger sums, 1,000, 2,000, until the cadence changed, and over the past year, the total approached $50,000. "That's fraud," I said, the word flat and clinical compared to the thudding heat in my chest. "That's your son," Jack said, "and it gets better." He tapped the next stack of papers with a finger that steadied only because he needed it to. "Sarah runs a side business, social media consultancy, branding, influencer support. She scammed clients, took deposits on promised campaigns, disappeared. At least 20 clients in the past 6 months. Contracts, invoices, angry emails. I traced the money. He pushed a small packet of screenshots and PDFs my way. Messages where clients begged for refunds. Payment confirmations that showed funds transferred to accounts linked to Sarah's consultancy name, but with no follow-through. The scale of it suggested planning, not desperation. "Can we prove it?" I asked, though the answer sat in the folder like a cocked pistol. "I have screenshots, contracts, angry messages from victims," Jack said. "Everything you need." The air in the coffee shop felt suddenly thick. Voices of strangers became indistinct, like a radio tuned just out of range. I looked down at the statements one more time, as if repetition could make me less complicit for having ignored the signs. $49,873. Precise, clinical. Money moved in stealthy streams from accounts I had trusted to those I hadn't even known existed. My son had treated my savings like a private ATM. "What about Lisa?" I asked, feeling a small, irrational hope that at least one of them had remained uncorrupted. Jack's expression tightened in a way I hadn't seen before, not the businesslike mask, but something almost apology-esque. "Your daughter's clean," he said at first. "She's not involved." "You're lying," I snapped. He closed his eyes for a fraction of a second, then opened them. "She knew," he admitted. "Tom told her about the withdrawals months ago. He didn't tell you. He swore her to secrecy. She didn't take money herself, but she knew and said nothing." The betrayal slid through me hot and sharp. Lisa's face, innocent at the dinner table, her hands folded, her polite voice, all of it rearranged into complicity. It wasn't only theft and fraud, it was conspiracy of silence, a family's conspiracy against its patriarch. "What do I do with this?" I asked. My voice sounded distant even to me, as if it belonged to someone else who had the misfortune of watching my life upend. "That's up to you," Jack said. He steepled his fingers and let a small calendar of possibilities pass across his face. "You can go to the police, press charges, and let the law take its course. You can hire a civil attorney and sue for restitution. Or," he leaned forward, lowering his voice as if to make a private blessing, "or you can let me handle it. I release this information strategically, publicly, and watch their lives implode. Reputation, careers, relationships, all of it. You won't do the work with your hands. You'll just reap the aftermath." I stared at the folder. Years of raising them, of sacrifice and small mercies, reduced to this neat, damning stack of paper. There was a terrible clarity in the evidence, proof I had wanted with my eyes closed, hoped for in secret, and once visible, there was no unseeing it. They'd been using me, feeding on my trust. "Do it," I said. The decision felt like stepping off a ledge into air that might be thin and cold, but at least it was air. "Release everything." Jack's smile returned, cold and efficient. "You're sure? Once this starts, there's no taking it back. People will read it, accept it, forward it. A viral scandal is not a tidy legal process. Consequences will spill over into every part of their lives." "I'm sure," I answered. There was no more room in me for doubt. He folded the documents, slid them back into the folder, and tucked it under his arm as if packing away a weapon. "Give me 48 hours, he said, "then watch the fireworks." I left the coffee shop with a weight I could not set down. Outside, the city breathed on as if nothing had changed, but inside, I carried a quiet, relentless certainty. The next 2 days would be the fulcrum on which everything pivoted. I thought of confrontation, of courtrooms, of the way the phone in my pocket would buzz with messages from people I had once trusted. I imagined Tom's face when he realized the scaffolding of lies around him had been dismantled. I imagined Lisa calling, apology in her voice, or maybe accusation. I imagined Sarah's polished veneer chipping and cracking as other truths found purchase. Mostly, I imagined the hollow center of the house feeling less invaded and more reclaimed. Whatever came next, I had chosen to stop being the victim in my own story. The cost had been set. Now, all that remained was to let the truth be an instrument and see what it would cut away. The first bomb dropped on a Monday morning. Jack had created an anonymous social media account and posted Sarah's scam operation with receipts, contracts, messages, testimonials from angry clients. Within hours, it went viral. By noon, Sarah's phone was exploding. Her carefully curated Instagram account was flooded with comments, accusations, threats. She posted a denial, claiming it was all fake, a jealous competitor trying to ruin her. No one believed her. By evening, 3 clients had filed police reports. The local news picked up the story. Local influencer manager accused of fraud. I watched it all from my living room, drinking scotch, feeling nothing. Tom called me that night, screaming, "This is you, I know it's you. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Someone's attacking Sarah, posting lies online." "Are they lies?" He went silent. "Tom, did you steal from me?" More silence. $50,000. Bank statements don't lie. "Did you steal from me?" "Dad, I can explain." No explanation, yes or no. "It wasn't stealing. You have more than enough, you wouldn't miss it." I hung up. The second bomb dropped Tuesday afternoon. Jack released Tom's financial records, showing the theft, the transfers, the lies. He posted them on every social media platform, every local news tip line, every financial fraud forum. Tom's employer called him in for a meeting. He worked in finance, handled other people's money. His career ended that afternoon. Sarah's business imploded by Wednesday. Her website crashed from angry traffic. Her LLC was dissolved. The police investigation expanded. She hired a lawyer she couldn't afford. Lisa finally called me Thursday morning. "Dad, you have to stop this." "Stop what?" "You know what. Tom and Sarah are being destroyed online. Their lives are falling apart." "Good. Dad, you knew Lisa. You knew Tom was stealing and you said nothing. You're complicit." "I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared." "You were greedy. Sarah promised you a job and you sold me out." She started crying. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please make it stop." "I can't, and I wouldn't if I could." "They're going to lose everything." "They deserve to lose everything." "What about mercy? What about forgiveness? What about loyalty? What about honesty?" My voice was cold, calm. "You all made your choices. Now live with them." I hung up. Friday morning, Jack called. "Final phase. You ready?" "Do it." The third bomb was the biggest. Jack had compiled everything into a comprehensive package and sent it to every media outlet in the city. Local news, papers, radio stations. He included the financial fraud, the social media scams, and one more thing he'd been saving: evidence that Sarah had been cheating on Tom with one of her clients. Photos, texts, hotel receipts. The affair had been going on for months. Tom called me that afternoon, not screaming this time. Broken. "Dad, Sarah's leaving me." "I know. She was cheating. The whole time. I just found out." "I know that too. Did you know before?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Would you have believed me?" He didn't answer. "Tom, you chose her over me. You stole from me. You called me selfish, petty, a bad father. You got what you wanted. You married her, sided with her, tried to take my property. This is the result. I made a mistake. You made a dozen mistakes, and now you're paying for them. I'm your son. No, you were my son. Now you're just someone I used to know." I hung up for the last time. The next week was chaos. Sarah was arrested for fraud. Tom lost his job permanently, his reputation destroyed. Lisa tried calling every day. I never answered. The media circus was spectacular. Local news ran stories about the wedding scandal family. Social media dissected every detail. Tom and Sarah's faces were everywhere, cautionary tales about greed and betrayal. I watched it all from a distance, safe in my anonymity. Jack had been thorough. Nothing traced back to me. Friday afternoon, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find all three of them standing there. Tom, Sarah, and Lisa. They looked broken, exhausted, defeated. "Can we come in?" Tom asked quietly. "No." "Dad, please," Lisa said. "We need to talk." "There's nothing to say." Sarah stepped forward, her perfect facade completely gone. She looked 10 years older, makeup-free, hair unwashed. "I'm sorry, for everything. For the slap, for demanding the apartment, for being horrible." "Sorry doesn't fix anything." "I know, but I needed to say it. Tom told me about the money he took. I didn't know about that, I swear." "But you scammed your clients." She flinched. "Yes, I did. I'm going to jail for it. I deserve it." Tom spoke up. "Dad, I was wrong. About everything. I stole from you, lied to you, chose money over family. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand what I did." Lisa was crying. "Dad, please, we messed up, all of us. But you're our father. Doesn't that mean anything?" I looked at them, these three people I'd raised, loved, sacrificed for. They'd betrayed me completely, chosen greed over loyalty, strangers over family. And now they wanted forgiveness. "You want to know what it means to be a father?" I asked. "It means raising children who turn into strangers. It means sacrificing everything and getting nothing in return. It means watching people you love become people you don't recognize. Dad, you took my money, my trust, my dignity. You chose to humiliate me publicly, to steal from me privately, to lie to my face. And now that you've lost everything, now that the consequences have caught up with you, you come here asking for mercy." Tom's face crumbled. "We're family." "No, we were family. Past tense." Sarah fell to her knees. "Please, I'm begging you. I'm going to prison. Tom's lost everything. Lisa's career is destroyed by association. We have nothing left." "Good. You deserve nothing." I stepped back and closed the door. They stood outside crying, begging, but I didn't open it again. Eventually, they left. I poured myself a scotch and sat by the window, watching the sun set. My phone rang. Jack. "It's done," he said. "Transfer the remaining 10,000 and we're finished." "Thank you." "You get what you wanted?" "Yes." "Any regrets?" I thought about it. About Tom as a baby, Lisa learning to walk, family dinners and birthday parties, and Christmas mornings. About the life we'd had before greed destroyed it. "No," I said. "No regrets." I hung up and transferred the money. Then I blocked all three of their numbers, deleted their contacts, erased every trace of them from my phone. They were gone. I was alone. And that was exactly what I wanted. 3 weeks later, I was having coffee at my usual place when someone sat down across from me. I looked up, ready to tell them the seat was taken, and froze. It was the cleaning lady, Maria, the one who'd called about the intruder. "Mr. Patterson?" she said hesitantly. "Maria, hi. I heard about what happened, with your family. I'm so sorry." "It's fine." "No, it's not." She folded her hands on the table. "When I called you that day, about the woman in your house, I didn't realize I was starting something so big." "You didn't start anything. You just exposed what was already there." "Still, I feel responsible." "Don't. You did the right thing. You protected my property, called me when something was wrong. That's more than my own children did." She smiled sadly. "Family's complicated. Family's overrated." We sat in silence for a moment. Then she spoke again. "My daughter saw the news stories about your son and his wife. She told me to stay away from you, said you were dangerous." "Am I?" "I don't think so. I think you're just a man who got tired of being used." "That's exactly what I am." She stood up. "Well, for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Sometimes people need to face consequences, even family." "Thank you, Maria." She left, and I finished my coffee alone. Dangerous. Maybe I was. Or maybe I was just someone who'd finally stopped accepting betrayal. That evening, I drove past my downtown apartment, the one Tom and Sarah had wanted so badly. I'd decided to sell it, donate the money to charity. A car followed me again. Not the black sedan from before, but a silver SUV. I took random turns. It stayed with me. At a red light, I watched it in my rearview mirror. The driver was visible now. A woman, young, mid-20s. The light changed. I drove straight to a police station and pulled into their parking lot. The SUV drove past slowly, then disappeared. I sat in my car, heart pounding. Who was following me now? What did they want? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. We need to talk. About Jack. I called the number. It rang 3 times before someone answered. Who is this? I demanded. Someone who knows what you did. A woman's voice, young, educated. Jack told us everything before he disappeared. Disappeared? 3 days ago. The police are looking for him. Fraud, extortion, illegal surveillance. They're building a case. That's not my problem. Yes, it is, because Jack kept records of everyone he worked with, including you. I felt sick. What do you want? To meet, tomorrow. Same place Jack chose, 5th and Main, noon. Why should I trust you? Because if you don't, those records go to the police. Your name, your payments, your involvement in destroying your family. You'll go down with him. She hung up. I sat in the police parking lot, shaking. Jack had betrayed me. Of course he had. Why wouldn't he? Everyone else had. I thought about running, disappearing, starting over somewhere new. But I was 52 years old, tired, and done running. If they wanted a meeting, they'd get one. And if they wanted a fight, they'd get that too. I arrived at 5th and Main 15 minutes early, positioned myself with clear sightlines, and waited. At noon exactly, the woman from the SUV approached. She was younger than I expected. Mid-20s, professional clothes, confident walk. She sat down without asking. Mr. Patterson. You know my name. I don't know yours. Call me Alex. I'm Jack's partner. Or I was, before he decided to skip town. Partner in what? The revenge business. He finds the clients. I do the digital work. Hacking, surveillance, social media manipulation, everything that destroyed your family. I did that. Why are you telling me this? Because Jack screwed us both. He took all the money, disappeared, and left me holding evidence that could put us both in prison. I need to know you won't talk. I have no reason to talk. I got what I wanted. Did you? She leaned forward. Your son's bankrupt. Your daughter-in-law's in jail. Your daughter won't speak to you. You're alone. Was it worth it? Yes. She studied me for a long moment. I believe you. That's why I'm offering you a deal. What kind of deal? I destroy Jack's records, everything linking you to the operation. In exchange, you give me $50,000. That's extortion. That's insurance. Jack kept detailed files, client names, payments, strategies. If the police find them, you go to prison for fraud, harassment, conspiracy. $50,000 is cheap compared to that. I sat back thinking. She was right. The records would destroy me, but paying her would make me complicit in a new crime. How do I know you'll keep your word? I asked. You don't, but you don't have a choice. She was right about that too. I need time, I said. You have 24 hours. After that, the price doubles. She stood up and walked away, disappearing into the lunch crowd. I sat alone, trapped in a nightmare of my own making. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my house, thinking, planning. $50,000 to keep my freedom. It was worth it. I'd already spent 20 on Jack. What was 50 more? But something didn't sit right. Alex's story was too convenient, too clean. Jack disappears. She shows up with threats, demands money. It felt staged. I called an old friend from my security days, Mike, a private investigator, someone I trusted. Mike, I need a favor. I need you to look into someone. Woman, mid-20s, calls herself Alex, claims to be a hacker. What's this about? I'm being blackmailed. Jesus, you want to go to the cops? No, I just need to know if she's legit. Give me 12 hours. He called back at 3 in the morning. Your blackmailer doesn't exist, he said. What? No Alex, no partner, no records. I traced her phone number to a burner, checked her car plates, ran facial recognition. Nothing. She's a ghost. Then who is she? My guess? She's working with Jack. This is a double tap. He took your money for the job. Now she's taking more for the cleanup. Classic con. I felt rage building, hot and sharp. I'd been played. Again. Mike, can you find her? Maybe. You want me to? Yes. And when you do, I want to meet her. Somewhere public. Lots of witnesses. You sure about this? I'm sure. Mike worked fast. By noon the next day, he'd tracked Alex to a coffee shop 3 blocks from my house. She was sitting outside, drinking an iced latte, scrolling through her phone. I approached slowly, took the seat across from her. She looked up, surprised. How did you find me? I'm not as stupid as you think. Her face changed, the confidence cracking. I told you, 24 hours. You're a liar. Jack didn't disappear. You're working with him. This whole thing is a con. She stood up. I don't know what you're talking about. I grabbed her wrist, not hard, but firm. Sit down. We're not done. She sat, eyes darting around, looking for escape routes. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. You're going to tell me the truth. Where Jack is, what the real plan was, and who else is involved. Or I call the police right now and tell them everything. You'll incriminate yourself. I don't care. I'm 52, alone, and angry. Prison doesn't scare me anymore. Does it scare you? She stared at me, then broke. Jack's in Mexico. He left 2 weeks ago. This was supposed to be a quick score, grab 50 grand and disappear. No one gets hurt. Except me. You destroyed your own family. You hired us to do it. You don't get to play victim now. She was right. I hated that she was right. Give me Jack's location, I said. Why? Because I want my money back, all of it. He won't give it to you. Then I'll take it. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through messages, and showed me an address. Cancun, Mexico. A resort town, easy to hide in. Is this real? I asked. Yes, I swear. I took a photo of the address, then released her wrist. If you contact me again, if you try this con on anyone else, I'll make sure the police know everything. Understood? She nodded, grabbed her bag, and ran. I sat alone at the coffee shop, staring at the address on my phone. I could let it go, accept the loss, move on, be smarter next time. Or I could finish this. I booked a flight to Cancun that evening. One-way ticket, no luggage, cash only. I wasn't planning on staying long. Mexico was hot, bright, loud. Tourists everywhere, drunk and happy, oblivious. I found Jack's resort easily. Upscale, expensive, the kind of place someone would hide if they had stolen money. I rented a car, parked across the street, and watched. Patience was a skill I'd learned in the military, honed over decades. I could wait. Jack appeared on the 3rd day. He was at the resort bar, drinking something tropical, laughing with a woman half his age. He looked relaxed, confident, like a man who'd gotten away with something. I waited until he was alone. The woman left, kissing his cheek, promising to call. Jack stayed at the bar, ordering another drink. I approached slowly, sat down beside him. Hello, Jack. He froze, drink halfway to his mouth. Then he smiled, but it was thin, nervous. You're supposed to be in the States. Surprise. How did you find me? Your partner sold you out. Alex. She tried to squeeze me for another 50 grand. I convinced her to give me your location instead. Jack's smile faded. There is no Alex. I worked alone. Then who was the woman demanding money? He looked genuinely confused. I don't know, but it wasn't anyone I hired. We stared at each other. Then understanding hit us both at the same time. We've been conned, Jack said quietly. By who? I don't know. But someone's been watching us, tracking the operation. Someone smart enough to insert themselves into the middle and extract more money. I felt cold despite the heat. My family? Maybe. Or someone they hired. Revenge for revenge. I thought about Tom, broken and desperate. Sarah, angry and vengeful. Lisa, quietly resourceful. Could one of them have orchestrated this? I want my money back, I said. I don't have it. I spent $10,000 on expenses. The rest is tied up in investments. I can get you 15 back, maybe 20. That's the best I can do. Not good enough. It's all I have. I believed him. Jack was a con artist, but he wasn't stupid. He wouldn't flash cash in public if he had it. Who else did you work for? I asked. Who else did you destroy? Dozens of people. Angry spouses, betrayed business partners, cheated investors. Everyone with money and a grudge. And you kept records of all of them? Of course, insurance. Where are the records? He hesitated. Safe place. Tell me. Why? Because whoever Alex really is, she's going after your other clients too. This wasn't about me. It was about access to your network. Jack's face went pale. Oh, God. Where are the records? Digital storage. Cloud server. Password protected. Give me the password. Why would I do that? Because if those records get out, every person you've ever worked with goes to prison, including you. But if we get them first, we can leverage them, use them against whoever's running this con. Jack thought about it, then pulled out his phone. He typed quickly, then showed me a screen. That's the server address and password. But if we're wrong, if this isn't about the records, then we're both screwed. I copied the information, then stood up. Transfer whatever money you can get me. 15,000, 20, whatever. Send it by the end of the week. And then we're even. Then we're done. Not even. Never even. But done. I left Jack at the bar and went back to my rental car. I had a server address, a password, and a mystery to solve. Back in the States, I hired Mike again. This time to access Jack's server and download everything. You're playing with fire, Mike said. These files could be evidence in dozens of cases. I know, but someone's using them against people. I need to know who. It took Mike 2 days to crack the server and download the files. Hundreds of documents, thousands of pages, client names, targets, strategies, outcomes. Jack had been thorough. I started reading. Most of it was boring, standard revenge operations. Cheating spouses exposed, corrupt business partners ruined, family betrayals avenged. But one file caught my attention. Client name, L. Patterson. My daughter, Lisa. I opened the file, hands shaking. Inside was a complete dossier on me, my finances, my properties, my vulnerabilities. And a note in Lisa's handwriting. I want him to feel what I felt, betrayed, alone, destroyed. She'd hired Jack, not to help Tom and Sarah, but to destroy me. The fake Alex wasn't working for Jack. She was working for Lisa. I sat back, stunned. My baby girl, my sweet Lisa, had orchestrated the entire thing. She'd used Jack to feed me information about Tom and Sarah's crimes, manipulated me into destroying them, then tried to extract more money from me through blackmail. And I'd fallen for it. All of it. I called Lisa. She answered on the first ring. Dad? It was you, the whole thing. You hired Jack. Silence. Lisa, answer me. Yes. Her voice was cold, flat. It was me. Why? Because you destroyed my family. Tom and Sarah made mistakes, but they didn't deserve what you did to them. You ruined their lives for revenge. They betrayed me first. And I betrayed you last. How does it feel? I couldn't speak. The rage, the hurt, the disbelief choked me. Alex was my friend from college, Lisa continued. Computer science major. I paid her $5,000 to con you. We figured you'd pay anything to keep the records hidden. You used me. You used all of us, our whole lives. We were just props in your perfect family fantasy, and when we didn't play our parts perfectly, you destroyed us. That's not true. Yes, it is. Tom took money because you kept him dependent, gave him everything but taught him nothing. Sarah was desperate because you made it clear she'd never be good enough. And me, I was caught in the middle, trying to keep everyone happy, and you punished me for it. I gave you everything. You gave us nothing. Money isn't love, Dad. Control isn't family. You wanted perfect children, and when we failed, you threw us away. So you destroyed me instead. No, I showed you what it feels like, to be betrayed by someone you trust, to lose everything you thought was solid, to be alone. She hung up. I sat in the silence, her words echoing. Was she right? Had I been controlling, impossible, toxic? Or was she just justifying her own betrayal? I didn't know anymore. I could have gone to the police, shown them Lisa's files, Jack's records, Alex's blackmail attempts. I could have destroyed my daughter the way I'd destroyed my son. But I didn't. Instead, I did something I should have done months ago. I let go. I sold the downtown apartment, donated the money to a veterans charity. I sold my house, moved into something smaller, simpler. I liquidated my investments, set up trust funds for Tom and Lisa, even Sarah. Not huge amounts, but enough to help them rebuild. Then I disappeared. Not to Mexico, not to some tropical paradise. Just to a small town 3 states away where no one knew me, no one cared about my past, and I could be anonymous. I got a job at a hardware store. Simple work, honest, quiet. I rented a studio apartment. I bought a used car. I lived small. And slowly, carefully, I stopped being angry. Tom called once about the trust fund. I answered, "Dad, I don't understand. Why did you do this?" "Because you're my son, and I failed you." "No, Dad, I did. I gave you money but not wisdom. I taught you to work hard but not why. I expected perfection and punished failure. I was a bad father. You weren't. I was, and I'm sorry. Use the money wisely. Build something real. And don't make my mistakes." I hung up before he could respond. Lisa never called. I didn't expect her to. Some betrayals run too deep for apologies. Sarah sent a letter from prison. Short, simple. "Thank you for the trust. I don't deserve it. I'll try to deserve it someday." I didn't write back. Months passed. Then a year. My life became routine, predictable, boring. And I loved it. No drama, no betrayal, no revenge. Just work, home, sleep, repeat. One evening, I was closing up the hardware store when a car pulled into the parking lot. Silver SUV. My heart jumped. Alex got out. She looked different. Professional clothes replaced with jeans and a t-shirt. She looked younger, nervous. "Mr. Patterson? What do you want?" To apologize and to explain. "I don't need either." "Please, just 5 minutes." I locked the store and leaned against the wall. "Talk." "Lisa didn't hire me to hurt you. She hired me to wake you up. She wanted you to see what you'd become. Angry, vengeful, alone. She thought if you experienced betrayal yourself, you'd understand what you did to your family." "That's not an apology." "I know, but it's the truth. Lisa loves you. She's just hurt, and she didn't know how to make you see. So she conned me instead. She tried to show you there's a difference." I laughed bitterly. "No, there isn't." Alex pulled an envelope from her pocket. "She wanted me to give you this, if I ever found you." "How did you find me?" "I'm a hacker. It's what I do." She held out the envelope. "Please, read it. Then I'll leave you alone forever." She got back in her car and drove away. I stood in the empty parking lot, holding the envelope, wondering if I should just throw it away. But I didn't. I opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten, Lisa's familiar scrawl. Dad, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I wanted you to know why I did what I did. When you destroyed Tom and Sarah, I watched you become someone I didn't recognize. Someone cruel, cold, calculating. Someone who chose revenge over family. And I realized I was just like you. I'd learnt from the best. So I hired Jack to show you what it feels like. To be betrayed, manipulated, used. I wanted you to understand the pain you caused. But I also wanted to save you. Before you became the kind of person who destroys everyone they love. The trust fund was your idea, not mine. The donations, the downsizing, the disappearing. You did that yourself. Maybe I didn't destroy you. Maybe I freed you. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you, but I hope someday we can talk. Really talk. Not about money or property or betrayal. Just talk. I miss you, Dad. Love, Lisa. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope. She was right. She'd freed me. Or maybe I'd freed myself. Either way, I wasn't the same person I'd been a year ago. That person was angry, hurt, vengeful. This person was just tired. I went home, made dinner, and sat by the window watching the sunset. Somewhere out there, Tom was rebuilding his life. Sarah was serving her time. Lisa was living with her choices. And I was here, alone, at peace. Was it worth it? The revenge, the pain, the destruction? I still didn't know. Maybe I never would. But for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about the past. I was thinking about tomorrow, about work, about rent, about the simple, boring, beautiful routine of ordinary life. I picked up my phone and typed a message to Lisa. I got your letter. Thank you. Maybe someday we'll talk. I hit send before I could change my mind. Then I turned off my phone, poured a drink, and watched the stars come out. The revenge was over, the story was finished, and I was finally, blessedly free.